we were just in the middle of some more technology talk, and
I was like, dude, people will be interested in this.
People will be interested. So I'm sitting here complaining about Windows. So I've used Windows off and on since version 1.2 back in 80 something or other, 85, 86.
Yeah,
And
that's when you had to boot up. It was on top of DOS. It was like
on top of DOS. Yeah, it was on top of DOS.
Windows, yeah.
All the way until Windows 2000 NT. Even Windows 95 had DOS underneath it. It would. So I mean, it was. Yeah, those were the days. And I feel like Windows has become almost completely unusable. And there's so many examples of this that it's like you sort of forget about them. Like you're just used to seeing things not working or being really clunky. One of the best examples of this was the context menu in the file manager. So if you use the context menu, one of the things that you used to be able to do,
you're talking about like right-clicking.
Right-clicking, yeah. Software packages could install things into that context menu. And so since people installed tons of stuff, and they would always say, well, you want to put this context menu, and people would just kind of hit yes or just click next, whatever. So you wind up having these context menus with tons of stuff in them. And so what they did for Windows 11 was they're like, well, this context menu is also using a graphic design that is really old and looks really dated. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a whole new context menu, and it's only going to include the things that we want to be in there. So if we if we want to change what copy and paste and stuff look like, we want to put them horizontally instead of vertically, and we want to.
But there is a button that says see more options, right? And then you have to right click and then see more options. And then you get
the rest of the context menu. And it's like, well, this is just really clunky. And you forget how bad and dumb it is until you use something else for a while. So I use my primary system runs Linux, and it uses KDE. So I use a KDE Plasma environment. They recently added a new feature to the context menu where you could recolor, change the folder icon's color. And let me show you. I want to show you what that looks like. I'm going to send you the image here, because they just recently rolled this out. I want to see if I can. Okay, I can't find an image right now, but it basically made the context menu twice as wide so that they could include all the different colors in a row. So it made the context menu from this big to this big. I was like, man, I really hate this change. This is really stupid looking. It's enormous, And then I was looking for something about like, oh gosh, do I need to go back to a previous version of the environment? And someone had mentioned, it's like, well, people were talking about, well, can I make it smaller? I really don't like this taking up this much space. And I was like, well, if you don't like that it's taking much space, I figure most users that don't like that would just turn it off. I was like, wait a second. What do you mean turn it off? And then
How do I do that?
I went into the file manager's menu, and in the settings, you can turn on and off anything that's in the context menu. Anything that you want on, anything that you want off, you can reorder them. You can do whatever you want. Like that context menu belongs to you. That context menu should reflect what you're doing.
You're talking about on Linux, not on Windows.
On Linux, yeah.
Right.
And it's like, oh wait, there's some features in here that I never use that are just clutter. Like, why? Click, turn those off. I never have to see them again. They're just gone. There's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, wow. So I'm kind of in a little bit of a flame war right now with not really a flame war, but with one of the maintainers of my distribution. He actually called me out on Mastodon for being an idiot, and which I think
you're doing something right. You're getting the hate.
Yeah, thank you. But one of the things that it was about was they changed the package manager, the application center, sort of like the Windows App Store or something. So they changed it to a different piece of software that doesn't fit into the KDE ecosystem, and also there's a bunch of stuff about it that it's not very good. And so I'm like, this is terrible. It doesn't fit in, whatever. And, we're yelling at each other about it. Well, the thing is that while we're yelling at each other about it, I don't have to accept the change, because even though it's a immutable distribution, I can go in there and re-overlay stuff and change configuration and create a custom image. And it's just like, I can just opt out of your change. I can keep everything else. I don't have to be like, no, I'm going to stick to Windows XP. That was the last version of Windows that was good.
Right.
I can just pick and choose the parts of whatever you're doing. And it's like, we're yelling at each other over the defaults, but that doesn't change anyone from doing anything they want.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting, man. Like, so I switched to, I was on Windows for a long time, and then I gradually became to hate Windows. And so then I messed with Linux for a little bit, fell in love with Mac. I've been using the Apple ecosystem forever, but just rediscovering Linux a year or two ago, and just starting to mess around with it. And it really gives you like amazing freedom, and I think it's, and some people might even go like, what are you talking about, man? Like, I can run all my, which, believe me, I have that same thing. I'm like, well, I can run by this, you can run by that. And, I never run out of stuff I throw at it. And it's like, oh, we can't run that application, so what's the problem? It's just, dude, the level of customization is just incredible. I mean, these tiling managers are just incredible, man. The way you can like run an app, and then it fills up your whole screen, and then it like subdivides down as you launch new programs, and it's just it's like once you've experienced it, it's almost like, man, this is just really hard to go back from. And really, like some of these implementations, like Windows actually has a really cool tiling manager that you can a third-party tiling manager you can kind of plug in. Mac has a decent one, but nothing compares to like a true, Linux, tiling manager. And for those of you guys what is a tiling manager? It's like the way you would open up different floating windows on your screen and move them around. A tiling manager would say, you don't do that, right? It's if you have one app, it takes up your whole screen. If you got two, they're side by side, or you can change, 2/3, 1/3, whatever. If you got four, you could have tiles, or you could have any number of different ways, but it's all your free real estate, and you never have to. You can use a mouse, but you don't have to use a mouse, to go back and forth. And in fact, it's once you get using just your keyboard switches, it's like, man, this is so much easier. So,
like you have to keep. You don't notice how many times you reach over for the mouse to move to click on the next window or something like that. It's like, oh, you don't have to do that. I mean, you can, but
yeah,
that becomes like an
one thing.
Activity.
One thing that I do think, and I mean, this is just kind of like laughing at myself for a minute, but it's like once you have the power to customize, like for example, like people having Androids versus iPhones, the Android people, they've been able to customize to their heart's content for a long time, and Apple, we're just now getting, the ability to like, locate your icon anywhere on the screen. Oh, you got a new one? Yeah. So you got foldable phones.
Save 7.
Foldable phones. You got all this cool stuff that you can do on Android, and then like on iPhone, it's like, no, man, this is the best. This is the best. We figured it out already, and love it.
Until we come up with the next version, which is even more the best.
Yeah, and it's like, man, you just really have to, like, for example, right now they're updating all the iOS 26, and then of course Mac OS 26. They've synced up all the names, so somehow we went from like 18 to 26. I don't really get it, but whatever. But they have this liquid glass motif. I've got the beta on all my my Mac and my iPhone, my iPad, and at first it's kind of like, oh, this is kind of neat, and then you're like, wait a minute, this is kind of reminded me of Windows Vista. Like, I mean, it's just really there's some weird things. You're like, man, it's like what was cool was now not cool, and what was not cool is now cool again. It's like, okay, I guess, yeah. Now
it's like the first version of OS 10 for Mac when it came out. It had the Aqua interface, right? So everything was these sort of blue bubbles. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you were using that at that point. And then they gradually switched stuff out to this sort of brushed metal, kind of titanium looking thing,
right?
And it made everyone really upset, because they were like, you would sit at your screen and you'd have 3 different app looks at once.
Right.
You find, and so Apple would publish these app guidelines are like, okay, this is the way we want your visual style to look in order to make sure everything was consistent. And so app makers would be like, okay, we're going to follow that, and then Apple would not follow it for their own first party
Right.
apps.
Right.
And so then eventually everything gets moved over to sort of titanium gray, very sleek, very nice, sort of aluminum-ish. And then they're like, back to glass. Like, no, wait, you just got us here over the course of
liquid glass.
10 years. Liquid glass.
Liquid. Yeah, liquid glass.
It's so funny. I love those guys.
Yeah.
I love those guys. I think that's one of the things that for anybody that's our age and grew up with computers or used them through the 80s and 90s, there's something about current Windows that I don't get the same reaction to using Mac OS. I have a Mac OS machine. It's fine. Like I like it. But there's something about Windows that it's just so confrontational. Like it actively works against you. And any updates that you put on, you have to go. It doesn't respect any of your choices. It's really strange. It's kind of like people have adversarial relationships with their Windows machines that they just don't have with Mac OS or even Android or iOS. I mean, just the feeling like, oh no, the Windows just updated itself. It's not just like, well, I got to wait 20 minutes to find out what for it to boot up again, but also like, what did they change that I need to turn off now? Is usually people's reaction. It's not like, whoa, what new stuff am I getting? It's like, how do I opt out? Can I put this back? It's like, well, you can put it back, but it's going to be a third-party utility. So now you're going to have a bunch of these third-party utilities restoring function that you had earlier. And
right.
It's just a bad experience, and I don't know why they've done it. Like the technology underneath it's pretty good. Like it's baffling to me. It really is
baffling. That's a good segue into your other pet peeve of the week was the Google antitrust case. You want to talk through that one?
It's been going on for years. So Google was found to be a monopoly, to have abused its monopoly in search. So,
which of course it has. I mean, like as any user, I mean, I don't. It's like I'm not a scientist, but it's like that judge says, like I don't know if you could define pornography, but I mean, I know what it is when I see it, right? It's like, dude, I mean, like they are obviously a monopoly. Okay,
yeah, obviously a monopoly, and it's one of those funny things where it's like Google as a company is really bad. It's very poorly run for everything except search. So they're notorious for spending like $1 billion to start this new product line of some kind. And then there's this huge fanfare, and it's going to change everything. It's going to transform everything. They get a whole bunch of people on it. And then 6 months later, they shut it down. And they're like, yeah, sorry, we decided to shut it down. And they're like, can't you keep the servers running for those of us that have like built our business around it? Like, nope, it's just gone now. I don't know if you remember like the Google One inbox tool where they're like, this is going to change email forever. Shut that down.
I fell in love with that. And in fact, both Lola and I were just outraged. It's like, dude, what? I mean, where did it go? This was so great. And I don't understand that. It's like, dude, this product was leaps and bounds beyond the product that you currently have. Why would you get rid of that? But anyway.
Yeah. Well, but everybody has a story like this of some product that Google produced that they liked, that they used, and that Google shut down. And that's mostly what they do. Like, so if you look at it as like like if they were a VC incubator, where they're like, we're sponsoring projects, hoping to make them profitable, they would have gone bankrupt many times over the last 20 years. Like they're terrible. But because they make so much money from search, they have search locked down, it doesn't matter. It's like it's all funny money at that point. Like they could literally set it on fire and annoy all their users, make their users hate them. Which, by the way, I mean, think about it. Google Chrome, for their latest version, they're shutting out the ability to do real strong ad block tools. And of course, everybody's outraged about it. And they're like, well, we're not trying to stop ad block. It's just collateral damage from this other thing that we're doing to try to enhance the security of your browser. Don't you want a secure browser and so on?
Right.
And since most of the internet runs on most people browse the internet using something either Chrome or with Chrome underneath.
Chromium.
So people using
Yeah.
Brave, Edge, all that stuff. That's all Chrome underneath.
Right.
They're basically getting their ad block taken away from them, and so people are outraged about this. But there's nothing they can do because
They go to Mozilla.
Yeah, you can go to Firefox if you want.
Yeah.
There's not many people
Or
do.
Safari.
Yeah. So it's like they don't have any problem of using their customers or taking stuff away or outright failing in everything because search they have search lockdown. The way they've done that is by basically it's the default on all Android devices, but Android is their product, so it's like okay, fine, whatever. But then they also pay Apple literally billions of dollars a year to be the default search.
20 billion.
Default search on all Apple devices. So you open up your iPhone or your MacBook or whatever, and you search for something, and it's going to go through Google unless you tell it. Now you can tell it, and you can on Android too. You can be like, I don't want to use Google search, and it will respect your choice.
That's right. Yep.
But the default is so powerful because almost nobody will change it. That it has enabled them to have something like a 90-some-odd% thing, which
obviously it works, or they wouldn't keep doing it. So
it works, yeah. And by the way, just kind of for giggles, the reason that Firefox still exists right now, so this is kind of sad, but Mozilla is also a terrible company. Like they're a horribly run company. Their management spends basically all their time trying to figure out like diversity projects that they can sponsor.
Right. What do we stand for? Yeah.
What do we stand for? Yeah. They had the founder of Mozilla. It was also the guy who invented the JavaScript language. Invented it. Okay. The entire world owes this man a debt of gratitude for this.
Well, yeah. Anybody, I mean, if any of you guys have messed with a JSON file or anything, that's all JavaScript. So
that's all JavaScript. Every web browser, like the interactivity on your web browser is JavaScript. If you're half of the websites run JavaScript on the server using a system like not React but Node. Well, anyway, he had given like a small amount of money to Prop 8 in California back. So this was when gay marriage was on the ballot and the Constitution in California. This is before it was federally legal through the Supreme Court. And that passed, by the way. They banned, California by majority banned gay marriage through Prop 8.
Back in the
day. He had donated a little bit of money to that. Well, it turns out political donations are public. And so it came out that he had donated to that. Again, this is much later. And so they forced him out of his own company for this one political donation they made. It's no longer consistent with our values, et cetera, et cetera. So he leaves and starts the Brave browser company. So there you go. But it's like Firefox does the same thing. I mean, they did the same thing with that Google does. They start things, they can't manage them. And they are kept afloat right now because Google pays them, again, literally billions of dollars. In their case,
to be default search.
To be the default search on Firefox, their own competitor. And it's like they keep their competitor alive because doesn't
well matter. Also it's useful to them because they can say, well, I mean, yeah, of course we got competitors.
Chrome's not a monopoly. Look, Firefox right there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Controlled, pampered little thing. So
it's like Netanyahu giving money to Hamas. It's like I mean, we just want to make sure that we still have a reason to do what we do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Google has this monopoly position, and then they're able to use it really to extract the maximum amount of money out of the internet economy. So one of the things that they do is
but anyway, but the long and short of it too is that the government was looking for a remedy here, right? DOJ brings a case and says that this is
so anyway, So the court decides leverages this for bad stuff. The court says you are a monopolist. You have been using it to leverage against in anti-consumer ways, and we need to figure out a way to solve this. So the government says, here's how you solve it. You make them sell Chrome. Chrome becomes an independent entity. You prevent them from paying for the default search option. And then maybe you spin off Android so that half of Android is basically controlled by Samsung anyway. So it's like, just kind of make a little steering group for Android. It'll be fine. You can still participate on it, but like that way you're less, everything under one roof. And then you have to compete honestly in order to earn the business of your customers who may want to go to Bing or DuckDuckGo, whatever. So the judge says,
nope.
No, in fact, we're not going to do anything, because if we do that, it will reduce their ability to compete.
With whom? Again, I would ask. Whenever I read that, I'm like, what are you talking about?
so here's where the competition is coming
with
from.
Who?
Compete against OpenAI. So a lot of people, and I am guilty of this myself, would rather pull up a chat interface on an AI system. Now, I don't use OpenAI's, but a lot of people do. I would rather do that than use a Google search. And I did this the other day.
And I honestly, like, I had heard this proposed remedy, and I was like, beforehand, I mean, I do think they needed to do something like the spinoff of Chrome. I think made sense. I think the maybe a moratorium on the lock, the premier placement lockdowns. Maybe an Android spinoff, but the idea that like Google search or any kind of web-based keyword search is going to persist as a way to find information much longer, I think is doubtful. I mean, we were so used to, man, years ago when the internet first came out, it was like you would go to these directory sites, and then because they had indexed things that you cared about, and then you had this kind of Yahoo was the biggest one, and then you had this period where and yes, Google has won that period, but I would argue that this period is coming to a completion, which is the people that go to a search field and try to do some kind of Boolean whatever to find information that they want. And over this last several years, I mean, a lot of the things that I've found very useful were being misused. Like, for example, like the idea that, okay, I go and search for certain things. Like ultimately, Google wants to give me, anybody, search provider wants to give me the answer that I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
If as a consumer, right? So otherwise, I won't continue to use that search function, right? So like, I come there and I say, hey, I'm looking for what time does a Best Buy near me hours, right? I might throw that in there, and it's going to know that I'm looking for Best Buy the store and what retail locations around me would be good for my hours, rather than an ad for some carpet store, for example, saying come here for the Best Buy. Right. They know, right, that because of my preferences and the things that I click on and what I look for, that's more than likely what I'm looking for. And so that autocomplete type feature where it's like, oh yeah, if we give us access to your browsing history, then we can maybe predict what it is that you're looking for. And that's been very useful. And I like that. On the other hand, it's also, I've noticed, other people have sent me different things. Hey, look for this and see what you see. And it's like, and you go look and you can't find anything outside the given narrative unless you go and use some, Tor browser or DuckDuckGo or something that's completely anonymized or, private browsing to say, here, let me do a search where you don't get any of that contextual knowledge about me, but just return me information that I may not have shown any interest in historically in the past, but yet that is going to be way more relevant to what I'm looking for in this moment. Yeah. There's no way that the computer can distinguish between those things without you doing that. And I think it's resulted in a lot of siloed information, because it's like, dude, like, I mean, if I go and look for latest news on Donald Trump, let's say, and it knows that I despise Donald Trump, it's going to give me a lot of news that reinforces my already. Yeah, or whatever. On the flip side, if I news on Donald Trump and I'm a Patriots win person and I've got all my Reddit subscriptions and I've logged Google and all the places I have, right? Then it knows that I want to see glowing reports and Dear Leader and whatever else, right? So,
Dear Leader. Yes.
So, right, but and people were posting this stuff on the internet like, oh my God, look, this is crazy, and here's the predictive text steering you in a particular direction that's predetermined. It appears like, oh, well, this is very biased. It's like, well, you're very biased. You're just getting a reflection of yourself put back in your face, and maybe you don't like it. I certainly have had to try to like widen my circle of reading just to impress the AI bots that are tracking me. Right? Like, oh, this is a well-rounded person.
Well,
you know.
I think, yeah, unless we're talking about something that's very current, like if you want to know what's going on right now in the second special session of the legislature, like, okay, you're probably going to use a search engine for that because it's going to crawl, Texas Tribune and Houston Chronicle, Dallas Morning News, all that stuff. But
not really, not even really. Like you would go to something like Grok, which is plugged into the internet and is now widely known that it's not going to give you any kind of tilt whatsoever, except to reflect what you're asking for. Which so if you're going in there and asking for something, the way people type their queries, I mean, it's not just reading your words and parsing; it's also inferring tonality and whatever else. So it's like you got to be careful of that, But like if you're using a service that has a real time web crawl, it's like, hey, here's the answer that you're looking for. Here are the bullet points from the press conference, sourced from these 28 different sources. I mean, why would I go and do a Google search for that?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's like we'll probably see Google search or whatever search engine as a tool that the AI chat interface will reference or use.
Right.
But not as something that would be human readable. I mean, it'll be there, but it's like, why would you do that?
Right.
You would just why don't you just use a chat interface? And you can ask follow-ups. Is there anything new about this? I haven't seen anything about it in the last 36 hours. Let me look for you, instead of trying to click through this setting or that setting. It's just
I think, it was interesting. It was interesting, man, because, mom and dad were over here a couple of weeks ago and, mom had been planning out this road trip for them. And she'd been like, oh yeah, I've been spending the last several weeks, I've been spending a few days getting this and that. And I'm like, well, here, let me just show you something. And so we took Gemini, Grok, ChatGPT, and Quinn, and basically just did the same exact question out there. And and I kind of framed the question, I am a 70-year-old female. I'm gluten intolerant, whatever the case may be. You go down a whole thing. This is what I'm looking for. And this is where I'm going to be, and this is my itinerary. And I'm trying to make sure that I, I'm mobile, but I'm not 23. I don't have, to be walking all over the place, right? And anyway, when I put it out and it came back, the itineraries, like day by day breakdowns, and like, this is what you should do, and here's a great cafe that's also gluten free. It was just like, she goes, oh my God. She goes, I've spent weeks researching. This is better than. I'm like, well, yeah. She goes, the only thing is, I'm like, well, could it be better in any way? She's like, well, the only thing is, we probably wouldn't be interested in that, and that's but more this I loved. And so as she's talking, I'm typing in what she's saying. Great first
wouldn't
effort.
Be interested in this part and.
Right. This is not really down my alley, but this is totally my cup of tea. I really love that. If there's any way you can fill in the gaps with different things, and also I have an allergy for this, right? And then it was like, oh, and here it is, no problem. And there's this thing in a lot of these AIs now that it's called a canvas, or I don't know to call it different names, but it's literally like a Google Doc that they'll produce for you. Like, so instead of giving you this back and forth input, like a text thread where you have to copy paste, it just, hey, make me a canvas, and they'll create like a Google Doc basically, and then that Google Doc will morph and change as you are giving it feedback. Less of this, more of that. Can you make this part in bullets? I'd really prefer this to be 2 columns, not 3. Whatever the case may be, And she was just blown away, like, oh my goodness. And so I just think as more and more people get used to this, like, why you would ever? I mean, I've used the Google today, like, half a dozen times, but on a typical day in the past, I would have used it, 40 or 50 times or more. And now I'm using it so much less because these tools are they're at least going to give you a better first draft response than the top 10 links on Google,
Well, I used it yesterday. There was a massive sale on pork shoulder at the grocery store.
Okay.
It was 87 cents a pound. So I was like, well, I'm going to make something with this. So I bought it, And I was like, I'm probably going to make sandwiches or some pulled pork or whatever. And it's like, what? I've never made pulled pork before. So I did not Google search. I loaded up DeepSeek 3.1, Pride of China. And
Pride of China.
I was like, hey, I got this. I told her I got this. Here's the equipment that I have. I want to make sandwiches. I want to make it kind of like this. What should I do? And it was like, and the fun part about it, and this is something I think a lot of people don't appreciate, is it gave me something that I could have gotten from a Google search. And yes, I was probably somebody's website blog of cooking blog where like the first 10 pages are like, my children always get upset.
Right.
And you're like, don't care.
Yeah.
Right. We just skip down to the recipe.
Just give me the recipe.
So I got the recipe right from that. But then I was able to do a follow-up. And this is something that it's very difficult to do on a Google search or a senior web search. Because I was like, well, I don't have. It's like you need to do it for 12 hours. So it's like I don't have 12 hours. I have 8 hours. Can I switch it to high instead of low on the crock pot? And it's like, yes and no. Here's what you should do. If you want to do a high, you need to really focus on this part, this part, this part. And I was like, well, and it's like, well, how much time do you have? Well, I have this much. I said, well, instead of doing high, do high for the first 2 hours and then switch it to low for the last 6. And you'll get best of both worlds, or it'll be close. And it was like, where am I going to find that on a Google search where
it was go to Reddit, start some forum comment, Yeah.
And the thing is that the instructions that it gave were perfect. They worked exactly right, and it produced some of the most amazing pulled pork I've ever had, ever. And
from China.
Like, DeepSeek.
From China. Yeah.
China. And that was without any tool calling. That was just using its internal mixture expert. So
that's amazing.
So I think that kind of thing that we would have done search for, I agree with you. I think it's going to fade out. I think it's fading out faster than anybody's giving it credit for. I think the evidence for this is the adoption rates on ChatGPT, which even though you and I said we're using other stuff, but the adoption rate is just dwarfing any other technology that's ever been used. Because I think even the first versions of it, which were not, kind of toys in comparison with what we have now, you could see behind it the promise of like what you get on something like Star Trek Next Generation, where someone walks up and like computer or blah blah blah, and it gives you an answer, and it's like I don't have to go through and read all this stuff or figure out
like, go to my bookmarks, figure out which web page is the most, yeah, exactly. You don't have to do any of that. It's just like you can even have it build you
low computer,
Yeah, I was watching this video the other day. You can even have it build you a aggregation dashboard. Say, hey, look, I'd like to build a homepage for myself. This is the information I like on it. I'd like to be dynamically pulling from RSS feeds that match. You know what I mean? Like, and it'll build it for you. And then it'll write the HTML, and you just throw it up on GoDaddy or whatever. And I mean, it's just nuts. In a great way.
You want to make it even better. You can ask it to write it in pure client-side JavaScript.
There you go. And it's just everything's dynamic.
Yeah, and then it's just a file that sits in your home directory, and so then your homepage is just that file. So it doesn't have to actually go out for the file. It loads the file, and the file does all its client-side stuff. It's incredible.
There you go. Look at you, man. Look at you, man.
So yeah, exciting things for tech. So maybe I think after talking to you, maybe I'm less outraged about this antitrust ruling, because it's possible that Google's whole business model, because remember, as a company, they suck. They're not good at running a company. They're just good at maintaining their search monopoly. And if the search monopoly becomes something that's just really not that valuable anymore, will there be enough there that it's like, are they even the biggest player? Is Gemini the biggest player in this? It's like,
dude, of course not. And I mean, like, you could look at
second, maybe,
and I don't even know that I give them that. I mean, like, it's
OpenAI. What is it? OpenAI, Gemini, Copilot. I think OpenAI is number 1, then Copilot, then Gemini, then Grok, and then the Chinese ones. And the Chinese ones, I think, are bigger than most people think.
Yeah, you got to think about like the you're talking about defaults, right? Like the reason Gemini would be big at all is because it's incorporated in Google search, right?
Right.
Everybody's got a Gmail account. It's got some kind of push saying, hey, Gemini can help you
There's another reason, by the way, that Gemini would be strong is because in order for a site to show up in the Google search, it has to be crawlable by Gemini.
Interesting. Okay.
So they're going to have de facto access to everything.
That's right. Well, and that's, to me, it's okay. That's fine. Common crawler or whatever. I think, and then Copilot, the reason Copilot's so big is because obviously Microsoft's been ramming it down your throat,
There's a key on my keyboard. There's a Copilot key right here.
Yeah, I still have one of those third-party ones where no Copilot button,
No Copilot. Good for you.
I have an old school Win.
Yeah, I have to remap. I'm pretty sure there's a tool that I can remap that to something useful.
Of course, yeah. But
a third-party tool.
Third party, yeah, that's right. TPT. I think it's like all these are getting like rammed down your throat. The things what makes Grok interesting. Grok's getting some draft from Twitter, but not much. I mean, but ChatGPT. I mean, like that's not attached to any other business. Like people are just going there for that. So I don't know. I think it's pretty nifty what they're doing, and I think you're right. I think to use anything else as a proxy for anything, like you bring in a lot of other. Well, perhaps this, perhaps that. You still have Claude, Perplexity, and a bunch of other ones that are coming up. And Meta, of course, Meta AI or their Llama or whatever they're calling it.
I'm not sure what's going. They're doing some weird stuff over there.
Well, Apple too, man. Like, I mean, Apple's got this whole Apple Intelligence. They try to incorporate everything, and I was like, I gotta have the latest chips so I can have the Apple Intelligence, and now I have it, but I don't really know what it does for me other than like, gives me some kind of little summaries on my notification. I haven't really noticed anything that. Well, yeah. I mean, I should probably save me some battery.
So I just got this brand new. It's my Fold 7. And
there you go.
It has all the AI features on it, everything, like AI everything. And one,
turn it off.
The first thing you did, no, turn off, disable, disable. Like one of them was get an end of day summary of all of your notifications. Why would I want that? I already handled those during the day. Do I really need you respond to 15 texts and they were mostly about your mother. It's like, I don't like, how does this
there's an app that there's probably one on Android too, but on iOS app called BEE. They were just actually acquired by Amazon. So that'll and the day they got acquired, they sent out a new privacy policy. It's so funny. Updated privacy policy. It's like, oh damn. What this does is they have an app that will live on your Apple Watch, or you can use it from your phone, or they sell you like a little pendant. But it'll record basically all around you all day long. Basically, so it's just listening to everything you got going on, and the premise is to grab for you like different to-dos and different things that may kind of you're having a conversation with somebody. It's like, hey, don't forget to do X, Y, and Z, and blah blah blah. It's like, I got you.
So then it creates it for you.
It creates like to-do lists for you. It creates this. It creates that. I mean, it's pretty nifty. I'm sure they upload all of your conversations to an essay, and they could know what. But their privacy policy says no, they don't do that. But
of course.
Sure.
I'll tell you, Amazon is a company that is actually, they know how to execute.
Well, the thing with like people that have these Alexa earbuds and all those things, they're always listening to you. Like the Amazon Echo, like downstairs, like it's always listening.
Yeah, I don't mine. I'm just like,
did you? Yeah, I don't need to listen to that.
I realized the only thing I was doing with it was asking it for the weather and telling it to clear notifications. That was it.
You do have to tell it to clear notifications a lot.
It pulse green, and you're like,
right. You're like, what is that? Oh, it's a notification. I probably don't care.
Yeah, well, I already know what it is. It's like there's something that was delivered. It should. My phone said that it was delivered, so I don't need this to tell me it's delivered. So I'm just like,
Gotcha.
Alexa, clear notifications. Or I would have to tell it stuff like, sometimes people would do things in the house if you're like telling a joke, and it'd have its little funny pre-scripted jokes. Just not.
I like the jokes. Hey, tell me a knock joke. She's pretty good at those. Kyler likes those in the morning sometimes. If she gets ready a little too soon, she'll have her tell us knock jokes. She's starting to figure out how to work. Yeah.
We'll torture Alexa. She doesn't care.
So what else is going on in the news that we should talk about? We had China's big military parade. I don't know if you saw that. Florida, I think, is ending vaccine mandates for all school kids.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's interesting.
That's probably a good idea right now. I think we're in a bit of, especially some of the Sunbelt states feel really burned by what happened with COVID, and like the lockdowns and stuff. And the states that resisted those lockdowns were treated as pariahs. They were told they're killing people and stuff. And then when you looked at population-wide samples, they were fine. I mean, you had COVID deaths, but you had COVID deaths even in lockdown states too, and it was more or less the same. And so, especially when it came to the stuff involving kids, and like, well, we need to shut down the schools to protect the children. And it turns out you didn't need to do that at all. That was not actually useful, and you wound up doing more harm than good that way. And the countries and states that didn't had better educational outcomes. I think there's a feeling, at least for some of these states, that the public health institutions are not actually fulfilling their mandate of protecting public health. That they're really some kind of either just like a pointless bureaucracy that is just kind of putting, like riding the brake while you're trying to accelerate, or if they are doing stuff that's staffed by people that are sort of at odds with the well-being of the country. So I think once the CDC, WHO, some of those organizations rebuild their trust from the populace, then I think some of those stuff can return, because I mean, some of these diseases are killers. I mean, you really don't want a little baby to catch
polio, measles,
pertussis. So like pertussis, whooping cough,
smallpox.
If you catch it as like a 10-year-old or 15-year-old, it's fine. I mean, you'll be sick, but it's like very rarely lethal for someone that age. But if you're 2 months old, it'll kill you. And you can't give a 2-month-old this vaccine. So you're sort of the only way to protect them is for everybody around them to be vaccinated. And if you have kids that are going to school, you know what it's like. Little kids, I mean, they're little petri dishes, and one person catches something, everyone
they are, man.
Yeah, it's terrible, and so it's like, well, there's got to be some aspect in the middle where you're like, okay, some of these vaccines really do save lives, and especially for the people like the infants that can't get vaccinated. But then some of these seem to be kind of unnecessary to be mandated, and we've just kind of gone along with it because no one really felt like the public health institutions were sort of against the people. But now they feel like they're against the people.
I know, man.
So
I mean, that is not a good environment to try to push out information or anything else like that to people. It's like, where does this information come from? I don't know if I believe it. You know what I mean?
Oh, come from the government. Oh, it's not like, well, maybe. It's like people look at it like it's probably a lie.
Probably a lie. I mean, it's crazy.
So
did you see?
That one? That's going to be inevitable. Like, I don't think there's a way out of that stuff.
Did you see the $2.2 billion Harvard funding judge came out and said the freeze is illegal? It'll get appealed, I'm sure. But this was the See here, Judge Allison Burroughs agreed with Harvard's arguments that the administration imposed the funding freeze in retaliation for the Ivy League university refusal to capitulate to demands for reforms. True.
Oh.
I don't see how you would argue with that. It's basically pretty
Didn't they
obvious.
say that it was?
Huh?
Like, didn't the administration say that it was retaliation?
Yeah, they Harvard rejected the demands that in DEI and screen international students for ideological whatever, and they said no, and so then they froze their funding.
The anti-Israel stuff.
Yeah, but this new anti-Israel what do you call it, standard is just it's like you can't even speak ill of the Israeli government. You speak ill of it's bonkers. It's like, well, so I can speak ill of my own government, but I can't speak ill of that government. Or
we should just probably say, since we're going live on the internet, that we both love and support the current government.
That's right. APAC, if you're listening.
Israel, yeah.
There's no greater friend to Israel than the Hemati
greater friend. And
That's
we're
right.
willing to sacrifice our own country to help yours, because it's God's will. So let's not forget
it's God's will. That's right. That's right.
No, it is. It is. Part of
it is. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. I was going to say, is there a hotline that we could use to identify? But it's already is written.
What you do is you take this big ball of wool and you put it outside.
Oh, that's it.
And then you're like, if
it's wet in the morning,
it rains, but the wool is dry, then anyway, there's a whole process.
There's some it's straight from the Kabbalah, right? First out of the wherever that's from. The OT. Gee, the OT. Judges, this is a book written for you, Your Honor.
Yeah, it's got your name on it.
It's got your name on it right here.
Oh gosh. Hey, I was really sad. I am still sad about, obviously, the war in Ukraine. But it looks like they're just going to keep going. Like, at this point, I really don't get it. There doesn't seem to be any victory to be had. But everybody.
Well, let me just ask you this, brother.
Yeah.
At what point was there a victory to be had?
What now?
At what point was there a victory to be had?
Oh, I think very early on there was a plausible end game that involved the Western world uniting to stop this expansionist Russian thing, and Russia blinks and says, well, I don't want to get involved. Well, I don't want to take on all of NATO all at once, and so maybe pull back and say, well, we've made our point. We need to make sure they're peacekeepers or whatever. And maybe UN gets involved, and it all just sort of fizzles out. I think there was a chance of that early on. Once they started taking large blocks of territory that had already voted to secede from Ukraine and join Russia, that there was really no chance of those ever going back. And so, I don't know. Like, I think past the first 3 or 4 months,
no,
there should have been some way to exit out of this thing for everybody. And it's like, you're going to lose territory, and there's, it sucks. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. But it's like, you can either lose territory and half of your male population between the ages of 20 and 70, or you can just lose the territory and keep your people. And it seems like those are your two options. They chose the kind of self-immolation, like just torch all these people along with it. So what do you think? I mean, you're not as pessimistic about this as I am, I don't think.
I don't know what pessimism is, man. I talked to Ruzi about this. I talked to a bunch of people about this, but I'm like, and maybe you can refresh my timeline. But as I remember events, this kind of all started back in 2014, I want to say, or 13. Whenever we.
Crimea.
We engineered a coup. So Russia, when they broke off all these republics, people forget, but it's like, it's like, okay, we're going to give you your independence. And most of the time, there was some kind of Soviet sympathetic, ruler that kind of took over. A lot of those people were run out of town, though. Ceausescu, a bunch of them, that were the puppet governments and whatever. But as these societies kind of gelled and they were able to produce their own leaders, the ones that are on Russia's border, like for the most part, in Poland, they didn't have any good luck. Of course, part of NATO from the get go and whatever.
Right. But Polish people are notoriously stubborn.
Right.
Like, no!
But like if you look at all the satellite like touching Russia's border, they managed to, through propaganda and whatever else, to get Russia friendly governments put in place. Right. And so it's like right. So they for the most part. And certainly Ukraine was that way. So they had this pro-Russia government, and they had favorable terms because only is it their only northern port or something like that is
the Black Sea.
The Black Sea port that is through in Crimea. And so they had this kind of like easement or whatever, basically negotiated out as, hey, we'll give you some money. And it was, there was some greasy palms going on there. But I mean, ultimately, it's all good, right? You guys are independent. You're going to pay us a bounty. We're going to pay you a bounty to go through, get access to. But when we overthrew, or the CIA and MI6 and all these guys went in there to overthrow that government and install a westward facing government, that's when Putin invaded Crimea. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's like, okay, so now we have invaded Crimea, we're controlling it so that we can still have our Black Sea access, but we're not going to like make a thing over your country, right? These people are they want, whatever, we'll make up some or whatever. I can't remember what the stuff they put. So that's what puts the Russians kind of in this sketchy area where it's like, dude, you guys are full of crap and whatever else, right? On the flip side, it's like you can totally tell from like, if I'm playing a board game here, I need access to these. I mean, like this is not rocket science. We're going to pay for this, and whatever the case may be. It's the same reason we can't have nuclear missiles in Cuba, So it's like as this has just progressed, especially like they start, like we start throwing out. I can't remember whether it was Kamala Harris or Biden. I think it was Kamala Harris was teasing out like, oh yeah, Ukraine, maybe you could join NATO. We're such good friends, and it's like, okay, well, let me just go ahead and put a stop to that too. So not saying that Russia's like not the aggressor or anything else like that. It's obviously it's a heavy-handed way to do your foreign policy, but none of these things are like, oh, I can't understand why this is happening. Like it's like they must just hate their freedom, and it's like
the world. Yeah,
they're just trying to take over the world. It's like dude, they're not. I mean, not anything I've seen visibly on the world stage. It's like it's like the same thing that they say about the Iranians. It's like they chant death to Israel. Like they chant death to America. That's their agenda. It's like, dude, they've had a chance to like cause way more damage than they've ever caused. It's like, are they pursuing their agenda? Are they? I mean, yes. Are they brutal about it? Yes. Are they funding groups that they should? I have a personal problem. Yes, but like none of it's not understandable. It's like I get so
like chessboard, like you were saying,
right. And so like at some point you got to be like, look, like this is acceptable. This is like, for us, and we care about this. We don't care about this. I haven't seen any. And that's kind of what I've been looking at the last few months is like, okay, well, at some point do we have enough American interest in the ground, these new mineral rights deals and stuff that Trump was able to, right, to say, okay, I mean, like, but so you're not going to, because this is where we have all of our interests in. So, like, I don't know what you're talking about here. I don't know to what extent that changes the dynamic on the ground where Putin maybe is thinking, well, I need to cut a deal. And I don't see anything that indicates that he's ready to cut any kind of deal.
Yeah.
And in fact, the whole meeting with Trump in person, that it was like, oh, leveraging that meeting. Now, if you look at what's happened over the last weeks to say, well, dude, I just met with the president of the United States, so certainly I can meet with you. And he's having like all it's basically I mean, he's been very, very smart at how he's used that to create a PR victory for himself, and then say, well, I mean, it's like this close to joining the family of nations, in terms of like the people he's gone and met with since then. So
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, I
Well,
don't see.
so I think, so just from my perspective, a lot of this, there's this story that Putin told. Um, he swears is true, and actually, it seems to me fairly believable.
Believable.
Yeah, and that is that when he was, I think he was like Secretary of Defense or something under Yeltsin. I think that's right. Secretary of State, some high up, very high up cabinet level position in Boris Yeltsin's government. So first democratically elected, um,
President of Russia.
president of Russia.
Yeah.
And Yeltsin and Clinton were talking about the potential for Russia to join NATO. And Yeltsin said, well, look, we're allies now. We're democracy. We're capitalist. And yes, we have our issues, but we're working through them. And why can't we join? And according to the story that Putin tells, Clinton was very amenable to this. And well, I don't know why not. That sounds like a really good idea, and we should all be sitting at the same table, and so on. Clinton being, sounds like something Clinton might say. And
Yep.
then according to Putin, like 2 weeks go by, and then Clinton calls Yeltsin and says something like, I talked with, people in NATO. I talked to, and they don't feel comfortable with it yet, but I feel like maybe someday this can happen, but it's just not the right time. And said some other stuff that Putin said he wasn't privy to. So it's like, okay, so it's sort of NATO remained a more or less anti-Russian thing. And it's like protecting the world against Russia, even though Russia was now no longer, the Iron Curtain, all this other stuff.
Right.
So for Ukraine to say, we want to join NATO, and for the Western nations to be like, well, this is possible, and maybe we can, it's like, no, right? That
Right.
is now
A bridge too far.
Insulting. Like,
Right.
there's no circumstance where that would be possible.
Well, he had talked about that under Bush too, as well. Condoleezza Rice is the one, colloquially, that put the kibosh on that. Was like, no. And he even said they had interviewed. Was it that interview he did with Tucker? But he was talking about the meeting the presidents. He's like, yeah, I've had a chance to meet many presidents. Going back. I don't know if he ever met
before
Bush.
He had been the top guy.
Right. Correct. So I don't know whether he met Bush one, but he certainly had met Clinton. So everybody since then.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, they're all, wonderful people that, they care about their country, care about people, but, they're all have creative ideas, and they call and they want to get together. And, hey, maybe we could talk about resetting, and we're always amenable to, of course, let's listen to what you have to say. And maybe we can work something out. And we make some forward progress, or maybe we get an idea or two on the table we're going to talk about. And then, the men in the dark suits show up. And they tell the president, here's what you can do, and here's what you can't do. And so, we in Russia, we just have to deal with the reality as it appears. It was very, very cool, and cool as a cucumber in the interview. But that story rings true. It really does.
Yeah. It seems like the kind of thing that could have happened, and seems to me very plausible.
Right.
So if you think about, and this is the same issue that the Soviet Union had when it was dealing with NATO, was that they didn't want missiles parked too close. So you put missiles the way we would put missiles. If they put missiles in Cuba, we would be very upset. We were. They had the same reaction to putting missiles in Turkey, which is
right. But we had missiles in Turkey way before they had missiles in Cuba.
Exactly. So,
and that was our quid pro quo, basically, to remove the missiles. Yeah.
Right. Well, because
they're obsolete anyway.
Well, they were parking missiles in Cuba. They were like, well, we're just trying to even the playing field.
Exactly.
Like, you already have missiles in Turkey. We're putting these here. It's the same distance. Everything's fine. And then it was, and so it's like, no, it's not fine. It's like, well, then these aren't fine either. And they were able to work out that quid pro quo.
Well,
so
did you?
So this.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Like,
go ahead.
We're going to park military in Ukraine. that would be sort of an anti-Russia military force. I mean, I don't see how they end this without some kind of pure declaration of neutrality on the part of Ukraine, or some kind of assurances that
How
Ukraine
can
will
they even
never
trust any of
and
that?
never join NATO. What now?
How can they even trust that though? Like, I mean,
Well, I mean,
the
Switzerland
same
does
question
it.
that people on our side say, well, how can you
Finland,
trust Russia? They've broken every ceasefire they've ever, you know what I mean? It's like there's such a high level of distrust or such a low level of trust, whatever you want to call it, you know?
yeah,
Uh, and
yeah.
it,
There's no way to bridge
it's,
that gap, you think?
I don't know that there isn't a way, but I don't know. It's very frustrating. I'm sure, you know, I mean, it's almost like even Trump, you can kind of tell is like frustrated. It's like, look, man, I thought that we were cool and that we could come in here and sort something out, you know, like, and the fact is that Putin doesn't have what is the leverage points. I almost feel like everything Putin's done vis-a-vis us has been out of courtesy to us more than anything else.
Yeah,
It's like, dude, I
being
don't need
polite.
anybody's permission. Yeah, I don't need anybody's permission. I know you guys aren't going to do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. Uh, you know, so you can't make me
Yeah,
back up. I have more, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
there's
And
not
so,
a
and you might, if you have some, legitimate humanitarian issues, I'm sure we're happy to help with
right,
those. Like, of course, we're friends. It's like,
right.
but I'm not gonna stop.
But
Why would I
I'm
stop?
not going to,
Yeah,
right. I'm not going to be
yeah,
dictated to. I just don't, it's like, dude, if we understand that from our perspective, like we're not going to be dictated to, you know. But I mean, he's basically calling world's bluff, saying, "Well, what are you going to do about it? You know, you're going to charge in here? Like I've got 2,000 nukes,
yeah.
like or
Well, and
whatever the number is."
also because they've had to deal with this escalating, and this is, I think, a giant strategic blunder on the part of the West, was they used gradually increasing sanctions, which means there was time to adapt and change their economy to them. So I'm not saying that the Russian economy is in great shape. As far as I know, it's not doing very well. But if they had gone from zero to where it is now, it would have been such a massive upheaval for
Uh-huh.
socially to have that kind of thing, that you can't, you'd have like a Bastille Day moment, and you don't want that, right? But since they were gradual, they were able to slowly make adjustments as they go through, and you almost get to the point where you're like North Korea, kind of a sanction proof economy. Like,
Uh-huh.
oh no, they froze our assets again. We've been
Right.
double frozen. Yeah. Oh, that's really sad.
Refrozen. Yeah.
Refrozen. And it's like, hey, you know what? We have this other thing that we're involved in with Brazil and India, you know, and we can trade with each other. We don't need your permission. Like,
Right. What are you gonna do
so
about it? You know? Yeah.
yeah, I think it's if you're now sanction proof, or functionally sanction proof, and you're invasion proof because of your nuclear arsenal, then like what else are you going to do other than ask nicely, you
Right.
know, which I
You got to
think
make
has
it
been
worth their.
done.
I think you got to make it worth their while. And the problem is that it's so much of a like what are you going to throw on the table, you know? And it's almost like, well, anything that we give them, it's like, why would we give them anything? They're the aggressors. They need to get out. It's like, what are you, 6? Like,
Yeah,
this is
they
my room. Get
started it.
out. You
Yeah,
started it. It's like, well, come on, man. Nobody cares about that.
yeah.
I don't know. It's bizarre.
Well, Ukraine, I think the really sad part is Ukraine is going to run out of people to send to the front line, and I think they just can't keep going. Even if we funneled all the money that we had into them, I don't think they can keep going. And so you've got this war of attrition. I mean, I've seen some analysts say that if you look at the way the Russian army advances, it's not even advancing that fast. It's going as slow as possible to make sure that they have, as many casualties of war as they can get. I mean, they're legal combatants. They're in uniform. You can shoot them, and so it's like, I mean, the goal at this point is basically just bleed them dry, and then whatever land you wind up occupying, you just hold. declare yours, and then in a long enough time frame, it just becomes yours.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's happened almost everywhere, except for State of Israel, which of course I actually said we support. But that's, I think, one of the very few exceptions to this rule of the land that you hold remains yours.
What, Israel being an exception?
Yeah.
Well, I would say that fits right nicely into that. That's why there's all this protest about these illegal settlements. It's like, well, they know once they build houses there, it's like, well, you're going to give this back? Well, no, we can't give it back now. I mean, people live there, but we'll
I know.
here. Yeah.
Right. But the thing is that eventually people come to accept a new border. That's my point.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's the one exception to the rule where it's like, oh, it doesn't matter that you guys have been here for 70 years. We don't recognize this border. Like usually a couple generations go by.
Well, it's just like the Israelis. Like, it doesn't matter that you've been here for 1,500 years. We don't recognize that border.
Yeah.
we don't care what we agreed to by treaty. We're just not going to recognize that border. But this is an expansion zone. It's been designated an expansion zone. So you designated. Oh, okay. You declared an emergency. I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
So,
well, dude.
I don't think there's gonna, as long as Ukraine has as their starting point of negotiation that all territory, every square inch of territory is returned to them.
Right.
Then there will not be a settlement. You have to wait for a new government. The way to get to a new government is you make the people there so tired.
Right.
Well, here's the thing: they can't vote anybody out at the moment because the war is still going on, and the war will go on forever, right? And so basically, you've set it up to where the only way out of the war is a revolution in Ukraine. So that's just a matter of when that happens, which is really sad. That's really sad.
I asked Dad the other day how close he thought Iran might be to a revolution. I was just.
He's always thought it was closer.
He did it. He was like, he goes, every time I think like, oh, well, this certainly would cause people to like, they realize how toothless their government is. He's like, but I mean, there's just nobody is. It's really weird. It's like when the preponderance of people are like, I mean, dude, if you're running at 80% disapproval rate, but I guess it's just not enough, right? I mean, what's the disapproval rate for Congress, right? Congress is in the 20s, if that.
Yeah, 20%.
Yeah, 80 points.
But people tend to like their representatives.
Right. They hate Congress, but not their congressman. Their congressman's
good. Congressman's fine.
They got one of the good ones. Yeah. That's right. That's
only they would listen.
Right. He's up there fighting every day for us.
For us.
Is he?
For us.
Is he really? Is he?
Yes.
That's cute.
He's fighting for your vote.
Yeah, he's fighting your vote. That's what he's doing. Anyway, just remove that word "for" and you're in the neighborhood.
That's sad.
He's seeing how long he can lurk in that position before you get wise and check him out.
Sometimes, well, in the case of Jerry, did you see that Jerry Nadler is retiring?
That guy. I mean, no, but that's good. Okay. That's good. Good for Jerry.
I'm not a fan of Nadler. He's not one of the Democrats I think are, a good person or anything. But to his credit, when he's stepping down from his position, he's not seeking re-election. He came out with more or less a statement that said to the effect that after seeing what happened with the Biden election, that he feels like there's a signal being sent from the people that the current Democrat leadership is too old, that we need to move aside for the next generation, and that he's going to do that, and that he's encouraging others to also be ready for the new to come in.
That's a stand-up move.
I think it's probably true, and I think good on him for noticing and taking his golden parachute.
Get out while you can.
Well, he's gonna face a really rough battle for his not chairmanship, but ranking member, I think, of our minority leader for judiciary. I think is it Jamie Raskin is coming for that position. Wants to.
Raskin.
I think. I might have the names wrong, but so it's like, well, do I really want to fight someone that I would much rather mentor?
Yeah, step aside early, look like a kingmaker. What's your opinion on this National Guard? Speaking of Raskin, do you think that Trump will deploy these National Guard troops against the, say, the governor or mayor or whatever the target city is? Because almost certainly, if he did, it would get challenged in court with an emergency injunction, and he would get booted out. But there's an argument to be made that the politics of it would be, look, I tried to send you guys some help, and they sued me to get. I mean, I don't know what else you could do. I mean, it's up to the voters
your
now,
governor would rather you die. Sorry.
So I don't know. I think this issue is largely working for him right now. Constitutionally and separation powers wise, I mean, I got a lot of problems with it. But on the flip side, on DC, the street, DC is in a different situation, so I got no problem with that. Legally or otherwise,
Chicago or Los Angeles or something.
Threatening that is that's a bit much, in my opinion. But I mean, on the flip side, I think it's he's playing some cards that are working for him, in the sense that I don't know how the Democrats have worked themselves into a position where they support crime now, but that's what it sounds like. It's like, no. I mean, we if you do this, you'll impair people's ability to commit crime. No, nobody's saying that, but it's weird. It sounds like that, and it's like, to the normal person, it's like, why are you doing this? There is some legitimate criticism about, like, where these people are placed is performative. Okay, that's fine. It probably is to some extent. I mean, we're all optical creatures. On the flip side, it's like, well, the presence of, I mean, I remember going to Brian's graduation when he became a state trooper, and the guy said, just your mere presence in uniform will be enough to deter crime, and that's of course, sure, so you walk around, people have been talking about, like, oh man, you go to Union Station, you go here, you go there. It's like, I mean, it is nice, it's safe, it's nobody's worried about anything, people are chill. It's like, okay, at some point, I mean, the police union is out saying positive things, the mayor is out saying positive things, all these people are saying positive things. At some point, you gotta just go, okay, obviously this worked. And so now the criticism is, well, to what extent, how expensive is it, how long is that sustainable, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, well, all those are legit questions, but as long as you're conceding the point that it does work, then why would you argue against doing something similar in these other cities? I don't know.
It's like in Foundation, right? Enjoy the peace of empire,
right.
Enjoy the peace.
That guy's a great actor, by the way. I love that dude. Lee something or other. Lee Pace, yeah.
I'll watch anything with him in it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see the trailer. I don't even need to know what the genre is.
I'm in.
He's in it. Yeah.
You're the Painted Purple. I'm still in.
So here's what, you're talking about the optics. I think you get all of the benefits of the optics by offering. So there's a certain amount of lawsuits that you can deal with, and it just gets really tiresome. So you can say, well, do I really want this tested right now? Do I really want to have this tied up in court? No. Like, what I need to do is say, hey, we're coming for Chicago next. Okay, you say that, and then you offer. You're like, we're standing ready. You see the difference here in DC. During the last X number of weeks, no murders, same amount of time in Chicago, X number of murders. We're ready to help. I'm going to get on the phone right now. I'm calling Governor Pritzker. We're going to get this solved for the people of Chicago. It's too beautiful a city to let this happen to it.
You should call him live on Instagram. Well, you can't get him? Try him again.
Yeah, come back 30 minutes later and be like, he said no. He said no, he doesn't want it. He'd rather it be this way. So in this case, and you get what you voted for, kind of thing. And
they could run one of those. They could run one of those scoreboards where it's like like how Bill Maher did, like so many days without solar, right?
Yeah.
You could do the same thing, right? Like, hey, Chicago, so many days refusing, any kind of outside help, while here are your stats
the,
during that
the
time period.
murders go up, carjackings go up. Yeah. And so
Yeah,
I think you get all the benefits without having
that's
to
interesting.
like force some kind of showdown, federal showdown. So that would be if the president was asking me what I would do, that's what I would do. Like enjoy the optics of it. I think the optics are winning for him. And I think there's a big difference between Trump saying, let's solve this, it's a beautiful city, I'm gonna call him, and watching Governor Pritzker on TV, who's not as good on television, I should add, as the
Right.
Don. And
Did you see?
I think you lose that optics battle.
Did you
I
see
think you
the?
so, and Illinois, by the way, is a purple state. It is not solid blue.
Right,
And
right, right,
I think it's vulnerable to something like this in the way that California is not. I think Newsom can do whatever because it's fine. But I
right,
don't think
right.
Pritzker has that luxury.
Yeah, it reminds me. There's a video that I saw. Somebody was National Guard troops. They were on the street. There was some altercation. Some citizens threw some glass, and there was some rubber bullets being fired. And they were showing it to this person, this pundit or whatever. They said, this is outrageous. I can't believe Trump would be doing this. Whatever. And obviously, this is over the top. I mean, this is uncalled for. Blah blah. And like
Authoritarian.
authoritarian, all this. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. We actually pulled the wrong footage. That's footage from 2020. Tim Walz called these National Guard troops in Minnesota. So sorry about that. But you were saying it was so priceless. It was because for the first part, I'm like, man, that is kind of heavy-handed. Wow, I can't believe they're doing that. And then it's like, it was really good. I was like, I
Oh,
love interviews like that where it's like, you actually said on the record.
well, it's like it's like some of the Occupy Wall Street protests stuff where you saw police be really heavy-handed with the protests. Or my favorite ones were the kids in cages pictures, all of which were from the Obama years. They're
Obama,
like,
yeah,
look at,
yeah,
do you support this? Do you support this? Everyone's like, no, it's horrible. It's like, that was Obama, like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he had his reasons, I,
Well, that's why I couldn't understand. Just to take a detour real quick, and then we can wrap it up. But I did never understood at the end of the last campaign, the Kamala Harris and Trump campaign,
yeah,
when he came out with the ad saying that Kamala is for sex change operations for inmates. I
it's
don't
true.
understand why she didn't. I don't understand why she never came out and said that was actually a policy that you signed, that we never changed, but was instituted under the Trump administration. I don't understand why you would have a problem with that. Um, I thought it was a little bizarre, but I mean, like, whatever. She could have said anything other than, I mean, I support it as the president, but she never even came out with that. It was just like, man, you can't even hit a. I
Well,
mean, that was.
the reason for that, I think, is that,
They
you
wanted to
know,
take credit for it. They thought that was like a strong point for him or something.
no, I think it was the people close to that campaign. I think knew more than we give them credit for. I don't think they were a bunch of bumbling people, and I think that the populace as a whole has reached a little bit of um, LGBTQIA2S plus fatigue. And you see this come out a little bit, like Snoop Dogg's interview the other day,
Oh, yeah,
where
priceless with his grandkid.
he was talking about, like, I just wanted to sit in the movie theater and take a nap
Yeah,
while
this is
my
a bit much. Yeah, this is a bit much.
grandsons watch this thing, and like they're like, wait a minute, how does this person have two moms? Like, how's that
Yeah,
work? And he's like,
he's like, I ain't fitting to got the answer to this.
yeah, like I wasn't expecting to do that. And it's like, why is this being pushed in my face right now? Like, I don't want this in my face. And I think that he hasn't suffered any serious backlash from that at all. There was a fake apology that came out that was like, well, I'm sorry if I said anything insensitive. And his own team was like, that's fake. He's not apologizing
That's
for
fake.
anything. Yeah. And it's like,
Yeah,
so I think there's a general level of fatigue, but I think there's especially trans fatigue going on right now. And part of it is because some of the egregiousness of this stuff, like the, men, persons assigned male at birth, going to the women's locker room and literally staring at prepubescent girls while
Yeah.
they change clothes and stuff. And it's like, okay, how often does that happen? Probably very rare. But the fact that it happens at all, and that you have people that are like, actually, this is good, and people need to get over themselves and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's like,
that's where it's like crazy. It's like, come on, man.
yeah. So there's some fatigue around this. And so the Trump campaign noticed this. And so it was like, that's why that ad was like, she's for what a they
them, he's for
she's
you.
for they,
Yeah.
she's for you. It's like, aren't you also tired of this garbage? And it's like, yeah, people are like, yeah, we are. And so if she had come out and like made it more of a thing, if she had given that oxygen, it would have the fatigue would have accumulated on her,
towards her. You think,
her.
or at least her team thought.
Even if what she said was like, no, that's his policy or something like that, it's like no one would have believed it. They were like, whatever, we all know, kind of
right,
thing.
Right.
It would not have helped. And if she had said, no, that's not me, it's him, she's still hoping for those trans votes. And if she's like, no, it's not, I'm not the one, kind of thing, then all those people would have been like, I'm not voting for this person. Her connection to that group is already tenuous.
Interesting.
So I mean, strategically, it was a bit of a checkmate. I don't think there was anything they could have said about it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he's good at that, man. Throwing out we're going to compete right here, and this area I know you're going to lose on. So it's like the only way you win is to change the battlefield, right? Sun Tzu said that. And these guys just keep hopping to, I guess we're fighting over here today. It's like somebody sends out the door, I'll meet you on this corner. It's like, we'll show up, It's like, oh, you said a decoy. It's like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to show up in person.
I'm ready to fight. We'll fight anywhere, any place. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, meet me over here. It's like, and then, okay, here they come. He said, show up. He said drinks around the house. It's like that Fozzie line, from, where's that bartender? Anyway, dude, it was good hanging out again, as always, man. So,
as always.
Yeah. Next week, same time, same place.
Hopefully next time we'll have the wrap up for the Texas special session.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. There's that. There's the California one. I don't think that's looking too good. We didn't do any predictions or anything this time, but
no. Well, I think the nation currently, if we're thinking about politics, big politics, I know it's a local race, but I think a lot will hinge on what happens in the New York mayoral race. We're down to the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that.
There's a lot of pressure on these guys to get out. I was hearing that Eric Adams was going to drop out today, but I didn't see any news like that.
But I think what happens with Mamdani is going to have huge repercussions across the left side of the political spectrum, and then, of course, how the right responds to whatever happens. So I think that's the big one. Until then, we're sort of like enjoying some smaller stories.
Well, to that effect, do you have a prediction for the Mamdani race?
They have their ranked choice, right? So there's not going to be a runoff. It's going to be an instant runoff. Yeah. I think he wins. I think it's going to be it's not going to be like a 50% or over 50%. It's going to be after the ranked choice kicks in and the vote rolls up. I feel pretty good about him winning, and I think it's mainly because the way they do ranked choice, it's the people with the least amount of votes get distributed up.
That's right.
And I think that you have all these crazy fringe groups out there that are going to have him as their second choice. And so as those get knocked off early, he's going to collect those votes almost right away. And so
it's like these guys. I'm hearing that there's a big pressure campaign on everybody except Cuomo to get out. Yeah, and even that's gotten to Trump, so that Trump will even get the Republican guy to drop out or something. They're trying to, dude,
stop Mamdani.
Stop him out, and I've been
what's wrong with him winning?
So that's the argument, right? It's like, well, I mean, would this be great for Republicans to have him as a foil? But I think
it'd be amazing.
I agree.
It'd be like a giant gift to the GOP.
I agree, but you're forgetting who Trump's home court base is. Not only himself.
He's a Floridian now.
No, I don't think so.
Mar-a-Lago.
But from what I'm hearing, like there's quite a bit of like personal contacts of his is cultivated through the years, plus donors, plus all these other people that are like, bro, you cannot anything you can do to get this. I mean, we can't let this guy just win. Like this is going to be awful for everybody's property here and all this. I don't know. My 2 cents is like, dude, let the guy. I mean, all these machinations to try to like prevent people from expressing their choice to me is just it's outrageous. It's outrageous when they did it against Trump. It's just outrageous when they're doing it here. These elections that they've shut down basically in Europe, where it's like, oh, obviously the people were manipulated. We know that's not what they really want. So we're going to just invalidate the entire election. It's like, man, that is really. I mean, you're at a point where it's like,
Or-
if you believe you have
or in
any input
Germany.
into the system, there, you're crazy.
Or in Germany, block anybody from the most popular party from having any role in government at all. It's like,
Right, by consensus.
not a
It's like, but by what consensus? About
everybody else, all the other smaller parties agree.
yeah,
So
I don't know,
I don't
man.
think
I mean,
it's a
it's
recipe
to
for a healthy
me,
democracy, so.
yeah. What is that? What is that line from Ben-Hur when right at the beginning when the guy's like, "Well, how do you find an idea? These people are crazy. They're religious zealots." He's like, "With another idea."
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, I don't. This people don't see. It's like, man, when they're telling you that this is not healthy information for people to be hearing. This is not healthy. It's like, oh, dude, I own a bunch of radio stations. I reserve the right to not let this kind of broadcasting on my station, or I choose to do allow this on my station, and then the public finds out and they punish me for it, or reward me for it, depending on what I'm out there hearing it, and then it's well, really censor YouTube, Facebook, and all that. It's like you gotta protect people, from the uncurated thoughts. I don't know. I don't see how you can watch all this stuff going on and not get uncomfortable. Um,
Well, and
it's bizarre to me, but it also is. It's like, okay, I used to see a lot of this happening on the right, especially the religious right. This kind of mandated conformity of thought, and we kick everybody out that's not with us. You saw it again during the MAGA, takeover or whatever. A lot of purging, right? But you see a lot of this going on the left now, where it's like this used to be more of a, hey, we got pro-life Democrats, pro-choice Democrats, we got this and that. It's like you don't see that anymore. It's like if you're not on the program, you are if you're not with us, you're against this type of a thing. It's very
or you can stay as long as you have a groveling apology and promise to educate yourself on why you're so wrong.
And a lot of these are like, I mean, just because you and I
like
grew up
SOS while you're giving the apology.
Well, it's a lot of these Soviet era terms are coming back, right? Like groupthink and all this double speak. Yeah, it's like, man, we're seeing a master class of it right now. Anyway, I don't know.
No, but as far as I am deeply uncomfortable with machinations to prevent the people from having their choice of representative. Now, I understand checks and balances, and so like direct democracy involving laws bothers me somewhat. I think there should be some buffer layer in there. But as far as the people choosing their representatives, and if this largest, most important city in America can't choose its own mayor because the party bosses prevent it from happening, that to me would be a horrible travesty. I think it would be better to have a bad mayor for a few years, or maybe like 1 year, and have him recalled because it was a disaster.
Loss of confidence.
Then it would be to be like, we're just not going to allow democracy to happen for the people to choose their own mayor. Like that to me, there's no cost that's worth that. Like, so.
All right. Well, so here's to Mayor Mamdani, which we'll find out here in November.
I think barring some kind of real skullduggery, that he will be elected.
What a great word, skullduggery.
Skullduggery.
All right, man. We'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.